right.
All right, welcome to the Padre and the Pritch, and I'm the Padre. In case you don't know, even though I'm dressed in my
Giants, go Giants!
I'm dressed in my giant paraphernalia today, and for good reason, because our Giants are maybe coming to an end tonight, or maybe are advancing further on.
Let's hope.
But I know that my friend the Pritch has had years of experience working with the Giants baseball team.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what your affiliation has been and why you were there. I know you're not a baseball player.
I knew. Why did I know that was coming?
They probably use you for a backstop.
My brother, God rest his soul, used to go, "I'd like to see you run down to first base."
Well,
my brother Jimmy. So I have for many years taught anti-bullying to the Junior Giants program. What we try to do is we try to build the feeling of teamwork in the community. So we have a lot of cops from Police Activities League. We have a lot of firefighters and dads and moms all over, and we teach not to keep score for the Junior Giants, but to just learn the sport, do the fundamentals, play the games, have fun, enjoy yourself, and be involved.
Junior Giants are what age?
It's anywhere between 5 and we bring in all kinds of neurodiverse kids, special needs kids. They get to play. They're all included. So that neurodiversity and the handicap awareness is built into our program so that our kids are exposed to sportsmanship on the level of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And what we try to do is teach, we're not about winning or losing, we're about learning how we play the game to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And if you think of a perfect role model, it would be a kid like Buster Posey, he's 34 now. He's the same age as my youngest kid. And I think that he has this inherent wisdom of humility and kindness that when he came out and Coach Bochy came out, they would talk to the kids, and you were just always, I had Big Rob Nen. We filmed the whole movie about him. But I think the thing is to teach that team is together, everyone, anyone matters. All of us together teach that to the kids, that every person matters in sports. And there's a great teacher named John.
Let me stop you a second.
Yeah.
Hold on to that thought, because Buster Posey, I just heard him on the radio the other day,
good.
and this woman is interviewing him, and she said, "Well, how are you taking the intensity and emotional all of this?" He said, "Lady," and he didn't call her a lady, but he said, when I go home, I got. Did you have 4 kids?
4 kids, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I chased 4 little kids around all day. He said, I tried to get some rest. We played 3 games in 4 days of high intensity. He said, I'm 34 years old. I'm squatting down. I'm in the dirt every day.
Yeah.
And then if I've fallen asleep, a ball hits me in the finger or the ankle. He said, it kind of jolts me to life. So, that's Buster Posey, but
that's him.
But he is like the leader of this giant team right now.
He became the captain in 2010, Father.
Oh.
As he arrived, he understood the field better than he became the general on the field in his first year as a rookie. 2010, 2012, 2014, we won. Hopefully we'll qualify for 2021 tonight for the World Series. But that is the ethic of humble teamwork, laughter, reflection, anchored community unity, knowing what's really important is your 4 little kids. And for me, when I go out and talk to kids, and I go all over the state. I mean, I go out of state. I go into Nevada because we have fans in Nevada. I go up into Oregon.
They have police there, too. You have to show your ID.
You have to go, here's my California passport. You going to send me home? But I'm originally from Missouri, from Southeast Missouri, Cape Girardeau. Me and Father Harry. I keep my priest with me. But it was like so fun because when you're around the energy of little kids, you're always laughing. One of the coaches told me the funniest story, Padre. He goes, Mike, he goes, I'm a cop here in Fremont, and I'm standing there, and this mom walks up, and she's weeping. She goes, why did you send my kid home? And he goes, ma'am, I didn't send anybody. She goes, he's 5 years old. He's hurt. He's wounded. I go, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, you yelled at him to go home. And he goes, he was on third base, ma'am.
Oh, that is good.
Isn't that, and I started laughing because you see this guy, he goes, but with little kids, and the little boy, 5, walked home, does he send me home, he made me go home. And so I think.
But you were mentioning the person before I put in the Buster story.
Yeah. But I think that as I have been exposed to the Junior Giants program, it's a tradition of loving baseball first and team sportsmanship. And a great coach named John Wooden said, sports now, careful, listen to this, folks, it's really powerful. He was a great coach in basketball. Sports don't build character, they reveal it. So that if you get that never quit spirit, and this is what I tell them, the game's not over. The game's not over. And I remember on many occasions, I made my kids and Phil Downs, who's a police sergeant, and his kids stay at the game. The 11th inning, everybody wanted to leave. There was hardly anybody left in the park, and the game was tied up. And we finally tied it up, and Matt Williams sends it out of the park. And I didn't have to say a word after that. He got a walk-off home run. Matt Williams sent it out of the park. And we were like there, and everybody was looking at us. And I said, that's why you never quit. Because the expectation is if you walk off, you go to your car, you're going to hear it on the way home and go, we should have stayed. Stay. Stay for that moment where you prove, and this is the line, don't wait for the miracle, become the miracle. And I had yelled from the second tier up, send us all home, Maddie, send us all home. And they're all like, everybody's going, oh yeah. Launches it out of the park. And we're all sitting there and they're all like, Dad, you knew. I go, no, I didn't know. I thought. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's those miracles happen in sports, in life, and in health.
Who was the
crises.
last no-hitter down at? Who was that guy, the Giant, a couple of years ago? He's retired.
Matt Cain.
I looked at that strikeouts. There were 19, and Michael Lear and I are sitting way up in the nosebleed. And I said, Mike, my legs aren't good. I'm going to take off now for the last game. It was that perfect game.
The perfect game, yeah. Connor was there. My son was there.
I didn't see him.
Well, that's because he was right behind home plate. You were up there going, my nose is bleeding.
Yeah, I said, if the wind comes by one more time, I'm going to be out of my seat and waving with the flags up there.
But
anyway, we took off and got in the car. I didn't realize it was a perfect game. Yeah. And I mean, I know baseball.
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking at, he's got 19 strikeouts. It's unbelievable. I said, that's going to be a record or something. But who cares? It's a perfect game.
Perfect game. Yeah. But the other point to that is, though, is that in sports, what was great for Connor was he said, we, by luck, got these seats. By luck, got these seats. Sue Peterson from the Giants, who's the executive director of the Junior Giants and the foundation, San Francisco Giants Foundation, was always so good to our family. And when we would have somebody who was infirmed or sick, we had a young lady who was going through a health crisis, and we got the booth up there, and all of her friends got to come and watch her watch a Giants game from the booth. This is what makes your life so profoundly important that you can bless people with opportunities to meet folks in sports. I got to sit next to Hank Aaron. I got to sit next to Joe DiMaggio. And I said to Joe, we were up at Sarah High School, and in Napa, I said, Joe, I said, my dad, I'd have given my right arm to have my dad be able to sit and have a conversation. And Joe DiMaggio's such a humble man. He goes, well, what do you think he'd want to talk about? And I said, pretty safe bet it would be baseball, Joe. And he was such a decent
You want to hear
guy.
my Joe DiMaggio story?
Sure.
It's just as good as yours.
Good.
And there was a football kicker for the Niners years ago named Joe the Toe. I don't know if you ever, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
He was best friends with DiMaggio.
Yep.
And they both worked out. They played golf together, and
Right.
then they would go down the Olympic Club.
Oh, yeah.
Take a steam and then go up to the bar. Anyway, at the Toe's funeral, which I had out at St. Cecilia's, we go out to the cemetery, and Joe DiMaggio, of course, he lost one of his best friends.
Yeah.
So he paid for a luncheon at this place, and he's sitting at the bar. He had a driver, so he got there first, and I don't know how I got there, but I got there pretty quick. So I sat down, and I thought, I'm sitting next to Joe DiMaggio, you know. In our time,
Right.
when he played ball, you know, if you were a kid,
The
this
greatest.
was like some
A
kind
living, breathing statue,
of, yeah.
right?
And I didn't know unlike you, I had no idea what to say. I said, what average did you hit? How many hits did you get in 1949, 52?
Yeah, stuff he didn't want to talk about, you know.
And I was just dumbfounded. So, well, we did, and I started talking about the toe, but Joe DiMaggio was one of those guys, I guess, after he married Marilyn Monroe. I mean, he was crushed.
I think in life, all of us know that sometimes for my money's worth, because I've been around a lot of celebrities in the music industry, in sports industry, and in comedy and in acting, I've always felt a sense of empathic sadness at many times, because the weighing of fame on people and the inappropriate nature of comments and toxic remarks weighs so heavily on the soul. I swear, this is true. I deliberately saw it with some of my friends in comedy who were close friends, and I thought, I don't want this. I want a simple life. I don't mind fame if it's towards an advantage of helping people, but fame at the expense of your own family and their involvement. I guess I would say it like this, Padre. Pink, who is a famous singer, she had some, remark to a person who was commenting to her on Facebook about her parenting skills. And she wrote back to that person, "Thank you very much, total stranger, for offering your insights on my parenting abilities. Now, blank, 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 blank." So I think that what we don't realize is the intrusiveness in the nature in sports. I remember being with, and I like Barry Bonds a lot, and he was at Sarah High School when he was a kid, and a good young man. And I was with him one time, and we were walking off the field, and people were yelling stuff at him. And I remember looking into his eyes. I was walking away because we were doing an event on the field for AIDS Awareness Day, and I looked at him as people were yelling stuff. The strange part was some of them were fans from San Francisco yelling at him. And you could see that you can pretend like it doesn't impact you, but you hear it, and your soul absorbs it. And the frustration level of hearing somebody be toxically cruel or mean-spirited or rude or racist or anti-Semitic with ball players of any sport, is when you realize that we're out there on the front end of people thinking they have the ability to make a remark to you personally. And when you see it wound their soul, it has to impact your performances. It has to.
Oh,
Whether
sure.
you're an actor, a singer, performer, or a sports person. So those haunting things, people need to put themselves in check and think about, there's a little kid inside each and every one of these athletes, rock stars, and actors and performers. And constantly when I would see my friend Robin Williams, I would see people say stuff to him, and I would be wounded. I would be wounded because people would feel like it was okay for them to offer their conjecture. And so it's really important for us to realize that, like even with the Giants, encourage, use your words as shields to defend other people and not as swords. Of course, you know, that's the old adage is, you know, you're constantly telling people, watch what you say to people. You can wound them and hurt them. And it's all wrong for you because anybody knows what comes around goes around.
Well, those poor, you know, you hear the other side of that. Well, he or she makes so much money.
Right.
And then how many times has Bonds hit a home run where the people went crazy, jumping up and down in the stands, hits the one out in the water there in the right field, and they think, well, he's had his great pleasure. He deserves to. If he does something different or wrong, he ought to stand up for that side of himself as well.
Well, I think anytime you justify cruelty and inappropriate remarks, you have to take a good look inside you as to what's causing that rage, that anger, that jealousy, that resentment that causes you to feel like that's okay for me. The other thing is, man, when kids hear that, they think they have permission. This is why we at Junior Giants program, we try to guard who coaches our kids. You want coaches that love sports, love kids, love the kindness of the game, love the ability to go out there and teach things. And San Francisco is a town of traditional diversity, traditional acceptance, traditional compassion. And you can see it as the city of St. Francis. It's named after St. Francis, who embraced all and did so much. He traveled to the Mideast to try and stop wars. That's who St. Francis was. And I think that if you read anything about St. Francis, it's a good reflection of our town. Now, some folks...
My favorite story of Francis is that when he went around to all these little churches in Italy, he always carried a broom with him because they were so filthy. And the little chapels, you know, and the Italians would build these little places. He would go in before praying or saying Mass. He'd sweep the place. You know, just clean it up.
Humble.
It was like you know, you feel sorry. You go to someone's house where they live in poverty or, you know, filth. Or it's like your wife telling you to pick up your.
I knew. Why did I know that was coming? Oh, brutal. Yeah. So.
She's just saying anyway. But Francis did these very simple things. You know, you see these statues in people's yards where he's feeding the birds and the wolf and animals, and we still have them. His feast day in the church is October 5th, and usually the Sunday after they always have the blessing of the animals. Now this is something that you would be good at.
Well,
if a guy brought a dog, a parrot, a rabbit, or an elephant, I'd
be able to make all the noises and draw them closer to me.
Yeah, you'd be able to talk. You couldn't talk.
Pretty mature, huh? Shit, in my 70s. No.
Stay. No, it's amazing, and because I'm not a pet owner, living with most, priests and
Right.
rectories, etc. I can never have a pet.
Yeah, you can't.
And some guys do, and they usually disturb others. But people get so close, and it's hard for me sometimes to accept that how close you can get to an animal if it lives with you.
Unconditional love. Yeah.
And that animal will treat you good, bad, or indifferent, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
They don't express their opinions like your wife does.
Again, he can't out. Well, Harry, one time I had a young veteran come to the house, and he had been through many tours. And we have a dog, an elderly white German Shepherd, and she was a rescue. And she was rescued out of Oakland. She'd been abused. Junebug had been abused, and her cigarette butts put out on her coat hangers. If you had people with, anytime you get near a fly swatter, she runs out of the room. Even now, and she's 16 almost. But when he came, he walked in the door. He's so emotionally hurting. She didn't bark at him. She barked at everybody who came to the house. And he came in and he just sat down. I looked at him. Nick was his name, Greek kid. Nice kid. And I go, Nick, she has barked at everybody that came through the front door. And I said, you're the first time I've ever seen her not bark at somebody. And I said, she's a rescue out of Oakland. She got up as if on cue, walked over, put her paw on his leg and chin there, and he began to get emotional. And he goes, just two wounded souls, sir, just two wounded souls. We know each other. And I said, in that, this is how an animal can instinctively intuit that there is suffering in a soul. And it's why I believe that St. Francis understood that the empathic love of an animal sometimes heals people. And we know that we have cats that can track cancer in patients in hospitals and sniff it. We have dogs that are caretaker animals for so many different people, right, and guide dogs for the blind. I sometimes read a book at a hospice called Tom Corwin from Mill Valley wrote it. He's a music producer. It's called Mostly Bob, and it's the dog was named after Bob Dylan. It's only a 10-minute book. But
does it have pictures?
It does have pictures, so it's okay for people from Cape Girardeau to read. Yeah. People from like to look at the dogs walking across the page.
Are they colored?
And all they're in black and white, just like the book, just like the printing.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. The story I won't give away, but it's only a 10-minute book. But I read it in a hospice one time, and the elderly guy goes, you read this to me to make me emotional because you knew that I wasn't being loved at the other place, but I'm loved here, and you did this to make me cry. And everything's real quiet, and one of the elderly ladies goes, shut up, Bert, not everything's about you. And the whole room erupted in laughter. If you want something to happen in a hospice, it's that level of laughter. It's that level of laughter from just humanity. And so I think that what we try to teach with the kids is have a sense of humor, have a sense of reflection for whether you win or lose. Yeah. It's not about winning or losing. It's how you not even play the game, but enjoy the game.
So when you're with this program with the Giants,
right,
are there certain guys that come out regularly, players?
Oh, tons of them come.
They enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I go and we film. Rob Menn was, oh my gosh, he was such. He looks like a superhero in the movie. Yeah. This guy with the dimpled chin, but man, he was so great with the kids. And most of these guys, like Buster and Bochy, they're parents, they're fathers. Mm-hmm. So you want your daughter and son to understand your love of the game comes from being a person. And sure, folks, you're going to see folks that aren't humble in sports. But what you're going to see more of is those that achieve high ends are not filled with hubris or arrogance. They're filled with a blessing that comes from an ability that's beyond our comprehension. And if you ever saw the movie The Natural, that Barry Levinson did, where Robert Redford played Roy Hobbs and was the big hero of the movie, there's this scene in there. And I had done a movie with Wilford Brimley at Lucasfilm, an Ewok movie. I love Wilford Brimley, but he was the manager in the film, and he was a remarkable old Utah cowboy, very, sullen and quiet and reflective. And here's this moment, which it hit me on such a deep level. Robert Duvall plays a sports guy, and he says, I don't care whether you win or lose. I don't care. I don't care whether you're the hero or the goat. I'm here to sell newspapers. And that's where you have the critique. Has the impact, because he had been a big hero in sports, lost his career to being shot and wounded, but came back as a person of reflection and value. So you never quit 1 minute before the miracle happens, right?
So when someone comes up to me and says, I know I've seen you somewhere before. I said, well, do you read Sports Illustrated? No. Well, you might check me on the cover there someday.
See?
Someday. That's on my bucket list,
Well, why not? You can always, you know what? If you would have told me, now, you remember me from the seminary way back when, but you didn't know this, but on Image magazine from the newspaper in the city, there was a picture of me holding my hands in '94, and it said Michael Pritchard for Saint.
No. Who printed it? In jail? Or saying why?
No, it said Image magazine, and my wife would not let me put that up in the house.
Oh well, with good reason. We have it in the chapel over at St. Vincent.
Under lock and key,
no,
right?
it's in the closet.
With dust on it.
Wouldn't even let Pritch out of the closet. Well, we're both so's, and we got about a minute left. So this is not what I was going to pursue this half hour, but we got into the Giants.
Oh, yeah. All good.
And you were able to share many, many things about how they help everybody with this program.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to get ready to sign off for this. I hope you're enjoying our conversations, and if you are, please tell others about it. And we're trying to launch out with a little more recognition for the Padre and the Pritch, and we're doing the best we can.
Bringing hope, folks. That's what it's all about. Bringing hope.
So God bless you and keep you safe and warm and healthy, and go Giants.
Go Giants.